Welcome, David. David Diack. Thank you for being in conversation with me. Hyacinth Fraser at Property in Action. Tell us, David, something about you and what property strategies you use.
Hey, Hyacinth. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I specialise in serviced accommodation, rent to SA, if you want to call it. But yeah, we do serviced accommodation here in Southend-on-Sea in Essex. We've been involved in the strategy for the last 2.5 years, since 2016, September time. I remember that just when I got married. And yeah, we've got a pretty decent business. We're currently sitting at 50 units and we've got another 20 odd pipeline for the next 6 weeks. We've got a busy time to be cracking on.
Oh, fantastic. So you're doing rent to SA primarily. So just talk to us about how you managed to get your properties.
Yeah, we do a combination of rent to SA. I'll go on to that part in a moment and explain the different sorts of strategies in serviced accommodation. But yeah, when we very first started out, we were like, well, it's like you're kind of a little bit, you're learning, aren't you? You don't really know what you know. So we were like, what kind of properties do we need? What sort of rents do we want to pay? Where do we want them, etc. So we spent quite a while sort of building relationships with agents, trying to understand what kind of strategy we wanted. And we found this beautiful one bed. I mean, it was stuck on the market, let's be honest. The agents couldn't get rid of it because it was too expensive. And we come walking in the office and they gave it to us. Now, looking at where we went wrong, if you want to say that, I guess, was that it was too expensive. Very sort of, the deal was against us, should we say, when we first started it. But what that meant for us was that we had our first apartment up and running. It was cash flowing really nicely, actually, as well in the end. And it meant that we had a property we could leverage. And after that one property that we had, because it was so super high end, we went around to the other estate agent, showed them what we were doing, brought them round to viewings, and they realised what we were all about, and it helped us build up our portfolio.
Oh, fantastic. So actually get one under your belt, make it work, and then bring estate agents around just to almost like give them some confidence and social proof that it's actually working. My
Yeah. I mean, people get a bit hung up about their first deal, like I want to get a month rent free and that and the other. My thing is to just get that first deal, because the first deal is the hardest. Let's make that one happen, and then we'll go out there and we'll get more and more, leverage it. You involve agents with what we're doing. Like, that's the key that people forget. Like, we're working with them, not against them. And a successful portfolio just by working with the agents a lot closer than you think you have to. Show them what you're all about. Explain to them about your business model and make it happen with the pair of you, because you only need 2 or 3 good agents to build a successful business in this.
So are you saying now that the agents bring you properties rather than you going out to the agents to source properties? How does that work?
Yeah, I'll explain how it works. So the first sort of 3 to 6 months, they're a little bit like, okay, what's this guy all about? What are they up to? And you explain to them what you do, you check back in with them, you communicate highly. And then suddenly they think, you know what, rather than me going back to the office, uploading all the photographs from Rightmove, writing a description, doing the floor plans, I'm going to quickly ring Dave up. And I know that he wants these kind of apartments in these kind of areas at these kind of rents. So why don't I quickly give Dave a call and he pop around and have a look at it, and we can maybe do a quick, easy deal. And that's what happens. So I'm turning deals away. I don't source for anybody else. If we manage it on behalf of the client, then I'll source it for free. But I don't source deals. So at the minute, it hurts me as well. I'm kind of turning deals away.
So you don't source deals. Is there a particular reason for that?
Yeah, I think it's important to build a brand. Like, I help people get into this business, and I think your brand is so important. And if I sourced a deal on behalf of an operator that didn't run their business like what we do, and they pay the rents on time and things like that, it would look bad on me as a referral. So I'm very protective over that, and it's taken a long time to build the relationship. So I highly value it.
Okay, so that makes sense. So just tell us a little bit more about why serviced accommodations versus other types of accommodation like HMOs, for example.
Yeah, so when we first got into them, prior to being involved in serviced accommodation, I used to raise finance, and that was for large property investments with sort of high net worth individuals, and it was kind of like an introducer between the two. Now, the cool thing with that is I learned a skill on how to work with investors at a very high level, and I learned to work with agents and developers and understood the way that these high level projects work, should we call it. But what that meant was there wasn't a continuous flow of cash flow. So I met a guy called Matt Ward, who's now my business partner, and we started looking at Southend as an area because there's opportunities with the leisure market, etc. Now, we started off originally with HMO, and there just wasn't the kind of right properties. And then when we said, look, this SA business looks quite good, let's explore it a bit deeper. And that's just, it just developed. Like, we just ended up just building a brand pretty quick and a good name of the agents. And they just started giving us the right apartments. And because we were operating a full-on business rather than a property strategy,
Yes.
We made it work, and we got the right kind of contracts with companies and done well with the tourism market. Here we are now.
So is a part of your strategy also less into corporates like companies, or is it mostly tourism?
Yeah, so I mean, what we're kind of known for in the area is working with large companies, getting those big bookings. So we've had some seriously, like beginning of the year, we've had in January up until mid-April, we had like 35 guys staying with us, and
wow,
paying pretty considerable sums of money to stay. They were doing a contract in the area, and because we've got a sizable portfolio, the problem that we're solving for the companies that they don't want to go and put them in 7 or 8 hotels or 10 different apartments, you know, so they want to come to one operator. So we positioned ourselves quite nicely in the market, and they come to us.
I think viewers might be interested in, Dave, how you actually get your corporate clients. How has that been working for you? Like, how did you get your first few, as it were?
Yeah, so our whole business model, what I teach my clients, how we help them do the same thing, is all based around a model we call the PASS model, right? Now, that's based around our first unit that I just spoke to you about was obviously a 1-bedroom apartment. What we realised pretty quickly was that there was huge demand coming in for people that wanted 2 and 3 and 4 bedroom accommodation, but we didn't have that. So we restructured our business model and said, well, let's work out what these companies want. So, okay, they want more people into more places. So would a 3-bed work for them? How much do they want to pay? Right? And then we completely reverse engineered what they wanted versus what our product currently offers. And we've built our business model based around something that works for both the corporate companies and around the leisure market, meaning that we know what they want to pay. So in the winter time, they're competitive enough to bring them into our apartments and it doesn't hit our bottom line. And then when they go away in the summertime, we can work with the leisure market and have a bit of both.
Fantastic. So,
sorry to interrupt. So it's all about planning, analysing your numbers, sourcing the right apartments and setting them up so it's attractive to both parts of the market.
Yes. So how, just to go back a little bit, how do you get your corporate clients? So how did you get your first few corporate clients?
So the very first few that would have come through would have been through the OTAs. Now, what can easily happen is you might get a booking through booking.com or Airbnb, but you've got to also network with that guest and understand their requirements and why they're with you. Okay. So in the early days, we did a lot of self-check-ins, and we still do some self-check-ins. A lot of ours are systemised with key boxes, etc. But my mum does our check-ins for us. And yeah, she loves it. It's great. And no one can, you know, she spots a good and a bad guest a mile away. Yeah. You know what? But she networks with the guests and talks to them. Why are you here? Like, are you looking to come back again? And understands what they want. So that works really well for us as a business. But when you get guest books, I normally say whether they're a business booker.
Yes.
You can tell if they book Monday to Thursday, they're probably going to be a contractor. They live more than 100 miles away, they're probably going to be commuting. So you get a lot of data from the OTAs. And what can easily happen is you just go, I take the payment and book them in. Whereas if you go, and we've got a team that do this for us now, of virtual assistants, but they look at the data and go, well, that's a potential booker. So that goes to our business development team now, and we give them a call and do some business.
Oh, fantastic. So it sounds like your mum is a real asset to your business.
Yeah, she loves it. She messaged me yesterday. She went to one of our properties and she's like, right, the guys are coming back. They're here for 3 weeks every 3 months. So I've got their details. And then she's like, I've just gone to another property and done another check-in. He wants to see the other apartments we've got. So, you know, she's just like networking and feeding back to us all the time. But it works really well for us.
That's great. So it sounds like, and you said you've got quite a few units.
Yeah.
Talk to us about systematising an SA business.
Yeah. So you can very easily outgrow the business pretty quick, like in terms of like apartments. So you get 1 or 2 or 3 apartments and it's quite manageable by yourself. when you start getting 4, 5 and 6, suddenly the workload quadruples, right? The call volume increases, the messages increase, the reviews don't get answered back, the payments identification, all these other really important parts of the business can easily get neglected. Now, what we'd done quite early on was we had a view to grow the business as a business, right? And leverage as much of it as we can. So one thing I would say to anybody that wants to learn to systemize their business is start logging what you do as early as possible. So start creating all them little jobs that you take for granted. Start recording them on your screen, record videos of how they work, and create like a library of everything that you do. Log your processes, and then when you want to bring a member of the team in, they've basically got a training manual to start working with. You help people do this over a 3-month period because it's very sort of in depth. But the key thing to get yourself started, shall we say, is just start logging what you do and create a process out of it. And when you bring people in, they can follow that. It's a great start.
Okay, fantastic. So you're pretty successful in your SA business. What are some of the things that you would say that newbies to SAs typically get wrong?
Yeah, so normally it's a couple of things. Like one, they might just try and take on a apartment, kind of like what we did in our early days. So they don't really worry about the location so much. They're just really hungry for an apartment. And what that often means is a bad decision. It could be too expensive. It could be in the wrong area. Might not have the right facilities. So that's quite a big thing to start with. The second thing is underestimating the amount of workload that's involved. And I say the amount of workload, it doesn't have to be a lot, but there's a lot of moving parts in an SA business. You know, you've got to build teams, you've got to manage cleaners, you've got to take care of linen, manage maintenance, leave reviews, take payments. So all these different things combined can often be underestimated. So I think the biggest mistake is not realising you're going into a business, not necessarily a strategy.
Yeah. So you talked about people maybe choosing the wrong area just because they want to get a unit. So give us some ideas about what a good or a right area might be.
Sure. So something that we do again is identify our market. So who are we targeting, right? And now we know there's a big leisure market in a lot of areas. So where do the guests want to be? Do they want to be in city centres? Do they want to be on the seaside? Do they want to be in cottages on the side? We look at that first of all, right? And then we say, well, when the leisure market quietens down, these have also got to appeal to another part of the market, because the leisure market will always quieten down. So who else is going to want to stay here, and what kind of facilities do they need? So often we'll focus on our plan A, which will be leisure, and then our plan B will be corporate, but it's slowly changing, by the way. And we make sure we can accommodate both of them in suitable areas. So rather than just getting a place that's on the seaside with no parking, we'll make sure we've got a place on the seaside with parking, for example, and they can accommodate a van. Because you know what them blocks are like sometimes? You've got lovely looking places, but they've got them very low archways where you can't get under. And little things like that you don't really think about.
Yeah.
Really important.
Okay, so I know I think you help people, don't you, in terms of getting into the SA business. How can people make contact with you?
One of the best ways of reaching out to me at the minute is definitely through my page, David Diack SA. If you search my name, business page is really good because I'll put out daily content on there, like tips. Like I'm sharing my journey and what's going right, what's going wrong as well. Like the things go wrong all the time. I'm sharing the highs and the lows and the full journey. And we've also got a group called the SA Education Community. Once again, I share content in there daily as well to help people out.
Okay, no, fantastic. So you said sometimes things do go wrong, as inevitably they will do. What's one of the worst things that has happened to you in your SA business, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you get the little problems, right? Because again, when you build on scale, when you've got a bigger portfolio, you get more little issues that happen. But we had something last week, that was just like, it was a drunk guy that had gone down the whole street that we was in, and in one of the blocks he tried to kick the front door in, right, of the block. Now it caused damage. He got arrested there middle of the night, and then a couple of our guests wanted to leave who were there for like 3 weeks at a time, and they did leave. So it meant and the guy got arrested and got let out the next day. no charges. So it means that there's a bill to repair the door, and there's a couple of guests that have left that are worth quite a fair bit of revenue. So things like that happen. Now, what we need to do is say, well, how can we prevent that happening again? It's difficult because it's out of our control sometimes, things like that, but we're now going to add additional CCTV to that particular part of the entrance, a ring cam. They're really good and really cost effective as well. And they've got intercoms built in. So if someone was there doing something like that again, we could literally reach out to them live and maybe deter them there and then, as opposed to it having to go to the police. So you live and learn. I think with the highs, you get some great highs. With the lows, you get a lesson. And I think with the lessons that you get, you learn on that and build on it and improve.
Absolutely. David, is there anything else you want to share with us, particularly for people who are completely new, thinking about getting into SA, just before we close our conversation?
Yeah, I think that there's definitely get the right guidance and support and help. I think that's really important. I speak to quite a lot of people that just try and learn off of Facebook communities and groups, and I think that's great, but it costs more in the long run and it takes longer to do it. I think get yourself educated, work with people that are out there doing it, and make the jump. Like there's, you can often get, they call it paralysis by analysis.
Yes. Oh, yes. Just get in and do it.
Yeah, there's got to be a point where you say to yourself, right, now it's time, let's make it happen.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you, David. That was so helpful.
Thank you for having me.